For more analysis, we are joined today from Cairo by Mr. Hamid Mahmoud, the head of the Iranian Studies Unit at the Arab Center for Strategic Studies, and from Paris by Mr. Majid Boudin, the international law professor. Welcome, gentlemen, and thank you so much for joining me here today at Think Tank. Let me start with Mr. Mahmoud. Abbas Araghchi told the Europeans that Iran is open to diplomacy but warned against the snapback mechanism. How much of this is a genuine openness and how much is it as being a negotiating tactic?
Greetings to you and your audience. Truthfully speaking, the statements and declarations of Mr. Abbas Araghchi stem from the regional state of affairs in the Middle East, especially in light of the latest confrontation between Iran and Israel, where the air defenses in Iran stopped hundreds of missiles but failed to protect its nuclear facilities, and the Iranian society is now Iran now is more open to diplomacy, and they're now discussing with France, Britain and Germany. They want to continue building on the 2015 deal. They want the deal to be reignited again, and in turn they will conduct negotiations with the IAEA and when Trump was inaugurated again at the beginning of the year, that in June or July, Israel waged war on Iran. This led Iran to partially agree to the European terms and conditions, and Israel threatened Iran that if they do not adhere to these terms and conditions, that Israel will wage another war against Iran.
Okay. Let me move to Dr. Boudin. Sir, reportedly European diplomats describe Geneva as Iran's last chance before sanctions return. How credible is this threat, do you think, and is Europe united behind it?
Well, the situation reflects the balance of powers between the European Union and UK at the same time, and Iran, in a larger balance of powers in which there is the United States, and after this attack on the nuclear premises in Tehran and around. So this is a normal situation after these strikes. But here we have to see why Europe is discussing with the three countries, France, UK, and Germany. Yeah. We can notice that France and UK, they have the nuclear bomb, and Germany doesn't have this nuclear bomb. So they include Germany to convince Iran that they don't need to have the nuclear bomb and they could be in a peaceful situation like Germany. And this is the configuration why the delegation of Europe is composed in this way. Now they are using, on the other hand, they are using this deadline to say to Iran, if we don't agree, we cannot continue to delay things, and we will take sanctions as at the European side, knowing that Iran was weakened by these American bombing
Yes.
on nuclear sites. So this is the configuration. How this will go? Iran has no choice now than to go into this matter, especially that the situation is the configuration is completely different, and Iran must save what it can save from its position. And within this framework of talks, it's very probable that they will reach an agreement, at least to deepen the talks and not to have to start the snapback mechanism to be on move. So this is what Iran is trying to do. But we have seen also that Iran, before coming to these talks, they have coordinated their position with China and with Russia in the last few weeks. Okay. So this is how, but also Europe, when they are talking to Iran, they have coordinated with the United States. So the matter is not only a discussion between European countries and Iran. It is a larger discussion.
Yes.
They have to reach an agreement, but the matter is what type of agreement they have to, what will be reached.
Yes. Mr. Mahmoud, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman said that the Geneva meeting will focus on sanctions relief and the nuclear deal. How central is the sanctions issue for Tehran at this stage of negotiations, in your opinion?
Truthfully speaking, the sanctions matter in regard to Iran is no longer a central issue because the commercial trade between Iran and Europe is of a small quantity. It amounts up to $4 billion. Trump's only key point is that the negotiations work because the volume of exchange between Europe and Iran is of small amount. The discussions began in May of this year. It was about to take 4 stages or 5. It was organized in Oman. This comes in within a pretext of a regional and international efforts. The Iranian president had a call with his Russian counterpart. It was affirmed through this call that Iran holds every right to own a nuclear program. As for the international and dimension, Iran is benefiting from the veto from China, and Iran holds great relations with China and Russia. And if sanctions were to be imposed again on Iran, the prominent figure, Mr. Ali Khamenei, regards the sanctions as unlawful, and he views it as being unlawful to Iran within the international dimension. Also, the negotiations will speak about Iran's unwavering support for Russia in its military campaign against Ukraine. And Iran's support led to a change on the battlefronts there.
Okay, Dr. Bouden, France, Germany, and Britain see that Iran is not transparent regarding their enrichment program. From a European perspective, what specific concerns drive this distrust? What are the signs that they saw that do say Iran is not being transparent?
If we rely on the agreement on the treaty of 2015 between then Iran, the US, Russia, China, UK, France, treaty of 2015, we can see that the level of enrichment was 3.67%.
Okay.
Uranium. And then this is now an agreement that Iran has now developed an enrichment of 60%.
Oh, okay. In 10 years?
In 10 years. So, and the level to reach the fabrication of an atomic bomb is 90%.
Oh,
so,
okay.
in 3.67% to 60%, is
very
huge,
high.
very high, comparing to the level between 60 and 90%.
Okay.
We have to also agree that between 60% and 90%, the margin is still also very high.
Yes, it's huge.
It's huge. So this is why when Israel has claimed that they have to bomb the nuclear facilities because Iran is about to fabricate a nuclear bomb. They were not. It was not accurate. It was a misleading point. But between 3.67% to 60%, it's a huge margin, and this is why Iran did not warn the International Agency for the Supervision of the Nuclear Energy of this margin, that this progress was being made. This is why there is a doubt and a doubt that Iran was not clear.
They are skeptical about the transparency of Iran.
So, and this is why the Europeans are having this position and say they don't know and they don't trust what Iran is doing. So what they want to do is to obtain from Iran that they open their installation to further inspection of the international agency. And Iran accepted this. So it's a good move to achieve that. In the negotiation, there is another level, the level of the ballistic weapons to transport the nuclear weapons, the nuclear devices. And another aspect which is not covered by this discussion, but it will be another discussion about that. The other point is for the security of the region.
Yes.
The countries of the Middle East are recalling what happened to Ukraine when Ukraine has abandoned their nuclear weapons with a guarantee from that they will not be attacked by Russia. We have seen that they have been attacked by Russia.
Yes.
And now we have Israel who had the nuclear weapon in the region, and this is it was not controlled. So,
but then in that case, Doctor, why is nobody skeptical about what Israel is doing? Isn't it also on the verge of producing a nuclear bomb?
Yes, because Israel must be.
There seems to be double standards all the time.
This is the problem. Is not the double standard. The problem is they did not want the international community did not make application of international convention on Israel, and this is the right time to. Yeah. If it's late, but it's still the right time to obtain from Israel to be submitted to a control from the international agency.
Also, yes.
Also, so this must go. Europe must open talks for this to give also a guarantee to the populations in the Middle East that they will be safe from an attack
from any consequences. Yeah.
By
Mr. Mahmoud, Iranian officials warned that if a snapback is triggered, conditions will change completely. What might Iran's retaliation or the countermeasures look like that they are talking about if there happens to be a snapback?
Iran did a few procedures before entering into the Geneva discussions.
Yes.
It was done on the previous Thursday. We've heard statements from Iranian military officials said, and the National Security Councils in Iran also, officials also issued statements that they will maybe retreat from the non-proliferation treaty, while the top Iranian officials affirm that they will act on the basis of an eye for an eye. We can see now that a European progress in the negotiations is taking place. Iran, as we clearly saw, did a few procedures before entering into these discussions, before negotiating with the European side, which are afraid from Iran's ability to threaten its neighbors. And you saw that Hezbollah refused to wave arms. So Iran is now trying to support its regional arms, to use it as a way of pressure on their European counterparts, so that they will have lots of options on the table when they negotiate.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Dr. Boudin, reportedly, a French diplomat said that reimposing sanctions on Iran does not require the consensus.
Imposing sanctions is a possibility for any state to do it according to international law.
Just a single state? It doesn't have to be a consensus?
No, there is a single state can impose sanctions on another state.
Okay.
And there is no need to have an approval from the Security Council. Okay. But the other state have the possibility to retaliate, to take countermeasures. And when there is the dispute is there, then they can go before the International Court of Justice to settle. But there is no rules and the international law which prevent the state to take sanction against another state. It's a self-defense measure, and expresses the sovereignty of a state against another state, because you cannot prevent, if you ask a state to not take sanctions, to not it means that you have to support that no other state will take measures that will call for sanctions. As far as you cannot guarantee that a state can live without any attack from another state, you cannot drop the possibility of sanctions. But sanctions must be proportionate, must be adequate. We have several rules to apply sanctions. And here, Europe, they want to avoid that the Middle East will become a nuclear zone with Iran having the atomic bomb. We've had that Pakistan has the atomic bomb, India has the atomic bomb. They don't want Iran to go into this field because the non-proliferation treaty has forbidden to all states in the world to not go into this field, except the ones that they have already the bomb. But the ones who have signed this nuclear treaty, and we have seen India and Pakistan, they did not sign this treaty. And we have seen that people, they have closed their eyes on the possession by Israel of this nuclear bomb. So the matter is to prevent a new state to come into this field.
Yes.
Still, this, if we can take it as such for now, it's to avoid the proliferation of nuclear, which is a good situation. But we have to come back to other situations and resolve them, especially in the Middle East, to oblige Israel, or to obtain from Israel, it doesn't seem very reasonable, but to force Israel to be submitted to the control of the international community and of the international agency for the supervision of the nuclear and control of the nuclear energy.
Mr. Mahmoud, in July, the Iranian and European officials held a closed-door meeting in Istanbul. How do these repeated rounds shape Iran's strategy, and how is this round with the 3 European signatories of the nuclear deal any different from the previous ones?
In the beginning, I want to add a comment on what the other guest said.
Yes, please go ahead.
If they wanted to impose sanctions on Iran, they will not need the consensus of the Security Council.
Yes.
Because the signed treaty might give them the pretense to do so. The Troika will meet also in the coming October. So in Britain, Germany can reimpose sanctions as per the delegation from the National
Dr. Boudin says that one single state can actually impose sanctions. We don't need the consensus of all of the Security Council.
True, that's true. So, negotiating the negotiation round that concluded between the two sides, the Iranian side and Troika, in Turkey last month, we saw Turkey's efforts to try to reduce the anxiety. Turkey was delegated by the US administration to be an intermediary as a prelude for the return of the negotiations between the Americans or their European delegates and Iran, as they are doing so in the meantime in Geneva. And as you saw that last Friday they had a phone call which initiated the start of the negotiations, a new round of the negotiations. They all try to reap benefits and to reduce the between Iran and the Western counterparts. Also, they aimed for Iran to return to the table again. And maybe to try to put an end to the European fears of Iran's owning a nuclear bomb. Also, they might discuss Iran's rocket program. The Europeans and the Americans, as you know, they stepped into the 12-day war between Iran and Israel. They want to stop Israel. Iran was successful in stopping Israel in place because Iran owns a very strong rocket program, and also they bombed Israel using top-tier technology. That's why we are now in a new situation regarding the negotiations. There is lots of change on the international and regional theater.
And that was Mr. Hamid Mahmoud from Cairo, the head of the Iranian Studies Unit at the Arab Center for Strategic Studies, and Dr. Majid Boudin, the international law professor. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining me here today. And with that brings us to the end of today's episode of Think Tank, which always unveils the complexities of our changing world. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more updates on Q News.